I reach out to people that I'm close to. And one of those, of course, is Stephen Simcox, TCU insider, great friend, longtime member of the Mosley Show family, man that likes being on the mic. And guy always has some nice artwork behind him, no matter where he is. It's just, it may be, that could be an original, kind of a Jackson Pollock back there behind him. Stephen, on this sad day, I guess you've seen the news. Dolly has left us for that big rhinestone in the sky. And that's tough, man. How are you taking the news? Welcome to the show. I hope you can lift my spirits.
I was surprised to see that news. I feel like Dolly's one of the few people in our world today that kind of unites everybody, Matt. I mean, I'm seeing people from all walks of life here online celebrating her life and who she was and her music. So that's good to see. But yeah, very sad news that that she passed away. I didn't expect that at all. So I'm sorry you're having to soldier on in the show here, despite knowing that, Matt.
Yeah, I appreciate you being there for me. As a youngster, Stephen, my dad never stopped teasing me about it. I probably at too young of an age, the Murray family, Paul David Murray dropped Matt Murray and I off up at the Plaza Theater in Kaufman, Texas, in about 1980 or 81. I would have been about 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, about 9, whatever. To see the movie 9 to 5, starring Jane Fonda. So my dad, from that day on, would tease me about being a big Dolly Parton fan, but yeah, it was that was probably a little early for that style of movie. Dabney Coleman probably was a little rough language in that, and Dolly certainly was known for her looks and curves to a certain extent. So anyway, but you know how that is, Stephen, when your parents get one over on you like that, they do tend to hold it over your head for a lot of years. And so lots of 9 to 5 jokes over the years.
The first, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie was the first PG-13 movie my dad took me to. And I don't think I was quite 13. I was probably 10, and I begged my dad to take me. And then he never let me forget that I got pretty scared when the Green Goblin came out there, and I decided that wasn't for me. So I made him drag me up there to the Galaxy Theater in Waco, and then we had to leave a little early because I couldn't handle the scary scenes in the Spider-Man movie.
Well, when they put that Galaxy in, that was pretty, because we were pretty limited in our options for a lot of years.
Yep.
Had that one off Lake Air. You'd have to go out to Belmead and see something. And they put that Galaxy in out there kind of in what used to feel like a field out in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't, I guess it's not anymore, but like, I think I saw the Horse Whisperer there. I saw He Got Game. This was like law school era about that time. But yeah, boy, Jesus Shuttlesworth. That was pretty good. What have you been up to, man? Are you getting excited for college football? Like I feel like your TCU Horned Frogs are like one of the real mystery teams, and they're sort of borderline top 25. Mm-hmm. And then I'm getting vibes that this Jaden Craig, the quarterback from Harvard, I mean, obviously Sonny took some pokes at Hoover as he went to Indiana. And I think he felt, I don't know if he felt bad about that or not, but he kind of, and then our buddy at Indiana hit him back a little bit with what he was going to do, what he was going to put around Hoover. Mm-hmm. And Signetti is very funny, and he's very cocky. I like both those coaches, though. Sonny is cocky in a different sort of way. It's not quite as overt as Signetti, but It's just interesting. I guess, okay, there's a lot of different ways to go there, but let's start with Jaden Craig. I do sense that Sonny, I'm sure they had to kind of, I mean, that's a weird thing to do, is like, okay, let's turn our team over to an Ivy League quarterback. But once they got him on campus and got him in the spring and started kind of watching his leadership, I quietly sort of am starting to kind of think TCU, what Sonny really wants to come out and say is, we've upgraded at quarterback. Now, he doesn't want to complete, and he knows that's a swipe at Hoover, but I think he thinks it's true. Is that also kind of what you're hearing and thinking is going through Sonny's mind?
I think that's fair. I feel like he is really excited about the change in identity they've made this offseason. I mean, Kendall Briles, whether it was the personnel he had, or I guess Sonny decided eventually, Matt, it was his play calling. They just did not run the football very effectively the last couple of years. And you would hear Sonny talk about it from time to time. Yeah, we need to do a better job of it. We need to make it a priority. We have to be more physical. But it wasn't happening. And so they end up parting ways. And honestly, I think both the Jaden Craig transfer from Harvard and hiring Gordon Sammies from UConn was pretty out of left field, because it didn't really mesh with what Sonny's done his whole career, which is kind of stay in the air raid family for the most part. And like most coaches do, has been around other coaches that share his philosophy and kind of share his background. So they're moving on to an offensive coordinator who is really known for taking care of the football. He's mentioned multiple times that he didn't appreciate the turnovers over the last few years. Josh was kind of a gunslinger, right? He liked to throw the ball around. He wanted to make plays. And sometimes in those games, he was turning the ball over and putting the defense in bad situations. They've used all these buzzwords about like complementary football, kind of changing who they are. And so I think Jaden Craig's a big part of that. One thing that Jaden didn't do a lot at Harvard that I also feel like they're going to use is his mobility. I mean, he wasn't somebody who ran the ball a lot at Harvard. And what we've kind of heard is basically the Harvard coaching staff told him, hey, we need you to play, and we can't have you running around and getting hit and getting hurt. But he's a big physical player. He's 6'4". He's like stands around 220, 225. So he definitely looks the part. And I agree with you. I mean, I have questions about, this is a big step up, obviously, in competition, from going from the Ivy League to, Power 4 football every week. But at the same time, there were draft guys. Mel Kiper had him as like a day 2, day 3 pick. If he decided to make the jump this year to the NFL, he chose to use the portal as an opportunity to give himself some more film and let people see him on a bigger stage. And I think TCU is excited about what he can do, and just a different philosophy on offense that is more centered around, controlling the clock, moving the chains on the ground, and not making silly mistakes. Because for all the explosive plays they had over the last few years, they also had just, I don't think the details were always there. And it hurt them at times in games where they would play teams like BYU last year in Provo, where they just looked like they were completely outclassed, or getting upset by Iowa State, in the middle of the season. There were just losses like that they're trying to fix so they can be a contender once again in the Big 12 title race.
I was hoping when you brought up Sammies, you would recall that was a Mosley story that kind of surprised some TCU people when I was able to break that news. I think they wondered why in the world I'd be poking around on that. And I can't reveal how I knew that one, but I did know that was coming. I also was going to break the Baylor defensive coordinator thing, and I agreed to hold off a little bit, Stephen. And I was reminded of a valuable lesson. If you sometimes, even if you're kind and say you'll hold off a little bit, that gives somebody enough time to tip off Pete Thamel, that something is going to happen. So sometimes you just have to go ahead and get something out there. The Sonny Dykes is interesting because I think Sonny, and I understand why he's doing it. I think he's pushing back on this narrative that he could be, that the program's kind of in a weird spot, because I think one thing he uses to push back is, hey, we've got 18 wins in like 2 years. And I'm sure what the next part of that is, and he's right. Like Baylor would kill for that right now, right? There's other places that would kind of kill for that. But I think the problem for him is he had that immediate success, has that unbelievable season, and they really haven't sniffed that since. They haven't been horrible. They haven't been great. Is he on like what? Maybe not a hot seat, but kind of like the tepid, to kind of a lukewarm seat. What's Sonny's seat going into the season? I don't think it's as scorching as Dave Aranda's, but it's not a cold seat.
No, I wouldn't say it's a cold seat. I think if this year doesn't go well, if they get off to a really bad start, then there's going to be some real questions. You laid it out there pretty well. Like, they've been competitive, but they haven't really been a team that you would consider a factor in a title race, a playoff race. And, I think too, Matt, like, one issue that Big 12 coaches might be experiencing right now is I feel like ever since Oklahoma and Texas left, everybody feels like they should be playing in Arlington every year. Like, it kind of remains to be seen what Texas Tech does now with, they've obviously made some big strides with NIL and everything that they're doing from a revenue sharing standpoint, but the league sort of feels wide open. And I think the other side of that is everybody's like, well, why can't we be the team that is kind of surprises everybody and competes at a high level and ends up winning 10 games? The last couple of years, TCU's closed the season strong. They did that again. They beat USC in the Alamo Bowl in a pretty cool way. Jeremy Payne had a touchdown catch on, a third down to basically get like a walk-off victory, and that was a fun moment. But they haven't been, at the forefront of the discussion when we're talking about the playoff like they were in that first season that he was there. So I think that seat's lukewarm. It is interesting, though, because I think in some ways he bought himself some time with the moves he made this offseason, because as I said earlier, like, they're changing a lot. They've got a lot of moving parts. And I wonder if part of that from his point of view was, well, hey, I need to, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm doing some new things. I'm going to need some time to sort of see how this works and figure it out and have the best way to go about it. And I'd also point out, he told you this, Matt, at Media Days and some others, he's made it pretty clear he doesn't feel like TCU have totally bought into this new era of college football. And I know they spend a lot of money to retain players, but he's told multiple people, like, hey, we're playing with a lot less of a payroll than our friends in Lubbock, right? Or BYU or something like that. And it's been interesting to kind of see him, I think, this offseason lay out some of those things where it feels like he's sort of tempering expectations in a way and maybe giving himself a chance to point to something if everything doesn't come together exactly right and say, well, hey, we really got to buy into this new world of college sports if we're going to be able to compete at a high level with everybody else.
Yeah. And then when he told me that, we put it out there, and then James Blanchard from Tech responded to it. I was saying earlier, Tech's got to kind of get past that. If they want to be the villains, embrace it and be the villains. Yeah, but it's interesting that the yippee stuff out of Baylor and especially out of Sonny still bugs them. It bugs them that there's a belief out there that they've just sort of bought their way to the table. And what I always say is, like, I wish Baylor had bought its way to the table. If these were the allegations against Baylor, I'd be fine with it. Like, I'm jealous of what they've done to a certain extent. And so, but they kind of want it both ways. They want to be the villains, but then also be respected, like, for doing it the right way or something. It's like, what is the right way now? I mean,
sure, yeah.
there's no problem with having a billionaire and having him fund the deal if that's what you want to do. But you can't sort of act like, oh, no, all these people are wrong, because it comes across as like, no, we don't have $38 million roster. It's only 32 million or something. It's like, come on, guys. But Sonny, I would say Sonny's more calculating than people realize, to your point. Like I think I don't know how to articulate this exactly. He does feel a connection to Tech because of his dad, obviously. And he likes getting the sharp stick out. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's easier doing it in a year where you don't have to play them, right? But he does like getting under their skin. I find it interesting. I don't know what that's all about, other than reminding his own fan base, we don't have the resources right now. This is not a total fair fight. I do like what he's saying about trying to be the best team in the conference, sort of at retaining talent. That's. I mean, if you're going to be known for something, that's not that bad. Mm-hmm. He's told what he said to me, and this to be true or not. He's like, we've only had like, I think the number was like 3. I think what he's getting at is people that have left that have gone on to be starters elsewhere. They don't have a ton of those guys. Is that accurate? Does TCU now Hoover becomes a big name that has left to go be possibly a star at Indiana? Has that held true over the past 4 years for Sonny, that they haven't had a lot of guys go on and become big-time starters elsewhere?
It's accurate. I think the problem with him saying that, and I don't really feel like the nationwide audience knows this, but Josh Hoover is one of those guys they lost, and then Dominic Williams, big defensive lineman, went to Oklahoma a few off seasons ago. And I would say those have arguably been their 2 best players over the last 3 or 4 years. So it's like they haven't lost big numbers, but the star guys that they wanted to keep, I'm not sure they were able to keep. And I think part of the reason that he took shots at Josh on his way out was they did, from my knowledge, they made a competitive offer. Like it wasn't, Indiana didn't just money whip him to get him to move over. I think it was Josh looking at it and saying, well, my offensive coordinator's gone, and that guy just produced a Heisman Trophy winner who's going to be the first pick in the NFL draft and won a national title. I don't feel like I can do things like that here. And so he took his opportunity elsewhere. And I think that really bothers Sonny, that apples to apples, he kind of looked at it and said, well, I'm going to go to the place where I feel like I have the best chance to win. And that wasn't TCU. And, in fairness, like with what Indiana did last season, there's really not a comparison with anybody, but still, I feel like it really bothered him that they couldn't keep him in the fold for one more season.
Isn't that interesting to see Gary Patterson, defensive coordinator at USC? It's a very rare thing. It's not rare for a guy to get another chance, like as a head coach, and he kind of wanted that, and it didn't really work out. It'd be interesting to see what he would have done at the University of Houston. Willie's doing a very nice job at Houston, but that'll be interesting. I think Gary liked the idea of poking at TCU while helping Baylor briefly and helping UT, back when they were still in the same conference. Like, I think he kind of liked that. I think he's kind of, now that he's in the TCU Hall of Fame, now he's in College Football Hall of Fame, some of the petty feelings he has toward TCU, they won't all go away. Like, I'm not sure he and the AD or the new AD, maybe they've had a meeting of the minds. I don't know, but it does seem like some of that has calmed down. But that'll be interesting, won't it, to watch Gary to see what he puts together at USC. Because I think Gary's mentality is he's always, even after all those years and all that success at TCU, he still needs to prove it. He still needs to. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame now, but there's still part of him that's like, they did me wrong. They shoved me out the door. I got to show them. I got to show them that I can still do this.
I think that's accurate. I also feel like, I mean, it'll be intriguing to see what he's learned over the past few seasons, because he talked about when we had him on the show when he was going to Texas, he was like, this is a chance for me to really take a year to kind of scout another coaching staff to a certain extent and see what they do and how they go about meetings and how they go about recruiting and those types of things. So I wonder what wrinkles he's put in his defense, because we haven't seen him call plays in a while. But I mean, I would argue, and I don't know if Gary would agree with this, I think from just like a pure talent standpoint, he's probably coaching with some of the most talent he ever has, because I mean, USC, it hasn't worked on the field defensively for them yet, but Lincoln Riley has been able to bring in like 4-star, 5-star type of players on that side of the football. So seeing those guys compete in a defense that was kind of designed to, you know, maybe help where there were some deficiencies. If you don't have those deficiencies from a physical talent standpoint, I'm very excited to see what Gary does. And I mean, you know this, Matt, like that guy having tunnel vision on just focusing on a defensive scheme and scouting other offenses, the potential there on paper seems really intriguing. Like I think he's going to come out and do some really cool things in the Big Ten.
Doesn't that sound weird? The Big Ten. I mean, just,
it does, yeah.
USC. Okay, what can we watch? By the way, do you find yourself, before I get to this, because I want to kind of find out what you're doing this season. I was checking out earlier the Frog Factor channel and just kind of want to see what you're up to. But like, don't you feel like the Wings robbed us all of, like, you know, and trying to create the back, you know, it's like they drafted somebody that was dating their point guard and whatever. I mean, again, that's fine. It was just, and then they didn't want to talk about it, right? Oh, no, don't ask that. Okay, well, and they passed up the great Olivia Miles from TCU, who was like playing right up the road. Like if they had turned on one of those Baylor TCU games, maybe the one where Baylor just decided not to cover her. Oh, let's let her shoot. Oh, wait, she just hit 7 straight threes. Maybe we need to like guard her. Like, how can you watch somebody like that amazing and then go, let's go with Fudd out of UConn? Do you feel like the Wings sort of robbed us of some fun because now Olivia plays for the Lynx, I believe, and we don't care about the Lynx. The Lynx don't do anything for us. In fact, the Lynx, they don't even put them on TV. They don't allow their games. I don't think that's true. But I can't find Lynx games. I feel like this is and then, by the way, this is a Mosley. I think I was calling the Wings out. Kevin will attest to this before anybody else. For even the night they made the pick, I thought this was bad. How do you? I just feel like they didn't care about us as a DFW market.
It'll be fun to see them both play together. I mean, I've heard the line that they not the Wings necessarily give, but I guess people that defend it by saying, well, you know, they both need the ball in their hands a lot. Well, I think they could have figured it out. I mean, move Paige to the 2 guard and, you know, let Olivia run the point and see what fun you could have with those two running around and making plays. But yeah, I've been amazed, Matt. I mean, I feel like I'm not sure if it's just, I know the Lynx are the 1 seed right now and they're playing really well. I'm not sure if it's just because that team's so loaded. I feel like arguably she's been better, you know, in the WNBA, and she was great at TCU. I mean, she was an All-American type of player, but I mean, she's talking like there's chatter about her being in the MVP discussion. And I feel like every other night I see her making threes or making some crazy pass, and she has amazing vision. And like you saw that at TCU, you saw nights where she would just take over games, but it does feel like she's somehow taking it to another level. And man, it would have been incredible to see. And I think Dallas, they got to hope, Matt, right, that they don't end up in like that 8 seed and they have to play Minnesota in round 1, because that would just kind of be the ultimate sort of ending to at least this chapter of it. the Lynx like sweep them, and Olivia has a great series, and they just have to, go home after passing her up on that number 1 pick.
Yeah, that coach at TCU right now, he's getting under my skin because I like him and he's kind of fun. You should have seen me trying to get him on. I had to go into, some of those people that move in from wherever he was, Sacramento State or Oregon or whatever, they don't care. The Mosley name means nothing to them. If you've been around the Metroplex or Texas, I can kind of maybe use my radio days to lure you in. And boy, you could tell the SID at TCU, they're like, I don't know who these people are. And so I stepped up, Stephen. I said something like, I think we'll get 50,000 views if Mark comes on. Now, I don't know if I've delivered on that or not, but it was very funny. Like I was either copied on an email or they accidentally said it in front of me. But it was a funny moment where the PR person tells Campbell, like, while I can still hear, well, this guy's promising us 50,000 views, so we might as well try this. Like they basically said that in front of me.
I'll have to talk to people there. Everybody should know the Mosley name. I think
you.
even in the Pacific Northwest, they know about Matt.
Campbell, at some point, he lived on the same street or something as Kevin Hall, my producer here on the Mosley Show. Yeah, so we also kind of had that card to play. But Kevin at some point has lived by everybody you can imagine. If you name it, it's like, wait, Kevin lived next to them in Sugar Land. Then he lived next to some people in Indiana. He's had a very storied and interesting background. Okay, that was good. Oh, bring us up to date. Like, are you doing Frog? Are you on the Frog Factor channel, or what's going on this year? Or are you just not gonna podcast? What are you thinking you might do this season?
Yeah, Frog Factor's going to make its return.
Nice.
We'll have some post game after Saturday. Have you been to Ireland, Matt? That's not a place that I've been to. Have you been to Ireland before?
I'm a big Scottish guy. I've been to Scotland, but I really do want to see Ireland. But I haven't actually been over there. That sounds like something you and the family would have enjoyed. Is a trip to Ireland. For this game.
Check out the game. Yep.
Yeah. By the way, what time will this be on? And have you looked to see? I guess this game will be on ESPN, or do we know?
Yes, it's ESPN. I believe it's an 11 a.m. kick, but I can.
Oh, 11 a.m. That means it's like.
Yeah, 11 a.m. Like 5 p.m. their time, I believe.
5 their time, 11 a.m.
60 degrees at kickoff, Matt.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Gosh, I do not, it's not easy for me to root for TCU ever, but Stephen, in this game, I'd love to see them think about that. Think about if they just put hang half 100 on them, as Switzer used to say. I mean, that guy could get fired within 3 or 4 games this year. I mean, the way that thing's going, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, all the distractions there, and the Lombardi being under this suspension situation. I feel like an embarrassment on national television would go a long way in ending that experience.
Okay. Anything else? Frog the Frog Factor channel. Now from Apple, are we going? Is this YouTube? Where can we find you on that?
YouTube, man. And Matt, you've become a big believer in YouTube. You're the YouTube guy now. When we first met, really. I wouldn't say you were a YouTube guy, but now you are.
I'm still not very YouTube friendly, and I'd rather, but yeah. I mean, what really, and Stephen, as you know this now from doing all the stuff you've done, like it really comes down to, did I, at some point in this 2 hours, and we used to do 3 hours, Stephen, during freaking COVID with no games, yeah. Right? But did I say something that was moderately interesting that we could make a 30 or 40 second clip of? That's really what this is about, you know? And
The
I try
shorts,
to do a nice, fun show and all that kind of stuff. But then it's really like, did Mosley say anything we could make a short out of? And then, like, one of our old colleagues, Stephen Catalina, like that, he like has a job now where he just makes shorts. I mean, I want one of those deals. Just like, oh, Mosley, we need to just say like 3 semi-interesting things and just send it in. Like, now that's what I want to do. I mean, that's a good gig. I think that's what Paul does now when he's not out doing comedy. Because he does stand up, you know.
He does stand up, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where. I mean, I don't know where exactly, but he's a funny guy. He's an interesting guy. But I love a good Catalina short. And Stephen, anything else we need to know about that you're involved with? Is business going well? Are you still in the mortgage business? And I mean, this is about year 5 or 6, or maybe even more for you, right?
Yep, still in the mortgage industry. That's going well. And is Parker a sophomore now, Matt? Is she junior, sophomore?
Sophomore. She
Sophomore
just had her first day of school at Texas A&M yesterday, and she's done what you always want your kids to do at the start of the year, is move into the sorority house, because that really should help with studies. That should just be great. But she did really well her first year and had a good GPA over there at the Mays School of Business at Texas A&M. So I take a lot of heat for not getting her to Baylor and all of that, but she still loves Baylor. And by the way, Stephen, when your children, and they're starting to grow, I mean, my gosh, Bradley and Abby are got to be really. I mean, at some point, I'm going to look up and those kids are going to be in junior high. What are we?
They're knocking on the door. Bradley's in 5th grade, so he'll be there next year.
Wow, going to be in middle school. But yeah, I would just say, with your growing family and large family, Willie Sawyer, I think all those kids, but like, don't rule out Baylor. Now, TCU, you might want to rule out. But Baylor, I will say, people say, oh, Mosley wanted to save money and send his kid to A&M. Baylor, from a scholarship standpoint, is unbelievable. They get aggressive in trying to get people, because, quite honestly, I hate to say it, Stephen, but A&M, Auburn, University of Texas, like, these kids now are all wanting to go SEC. And unfortunately, my daughter was the same way. You go to a game and you go to a freaking Notre Dame A&M game and you go visit and you're like, oh, that's kind of fun. That's kind of a fun atmosphere, you know. Now, what I try to remind these kids is, do you want to go then? Remember, you're going to have about 400 classmates in your first freshman class. Or do you want to walk into a class and maybe have 50 or 60 like you could have at Baylor? Like, it's infinitely easier to navigate your way around a Baylor or a TCU than it is an A&M. I will say that. So they're good and bad both ways.
Yeah, there's been a big push here. A lot of kids going to Arkansas because they want to be in the SEC. I guess they don't want to see any wins, but they just want to be part of the SEC. They're in Fayetteville.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well just, call it Texas Tech North or whatever direction. No, but people, they do waive the out-of-state. I don't know if they'll keep doing that, but that out-of-state fees, which is crazy at some of these places. But in Arkansas, it's beautiful. Like, it's fun. Like, I get it. I get it, man. But I have not gotten caught up in, like, the spirit of Aggieland or anything like that, so don't ever worry about that. But like, the atmosphere on a game day and the actual game presentation is like we might as well just step on a different planet. And again, no knock. I was at TCU last year. I don't have good experiences there. McLean is beautiful and I love being there, but it's a different world. It really is. But again, Stephen, we loved our experience at a private school, And there are lots of great things about that. So I don't want anybody to hear old Mosley's talking.
They already clipped that. They already clipped that for the short to put out after the show. You just praising Aggieland.
I honestly, if Catalina would have me, I would just go do shorts with him. But I just don't think he's gonna, or Smokey and Mosley, Smokey and Mosley shorts. Like that's what people really want, is just us embrace debate, and the two of us just kind of square off.
Yeah, just 60-second debates.
Mosley, and just get after him about like Midway. I don't like kind of some of what Midway's doing on defense. I don't like. I hate their scheme, and then he defends Midway. Now that'd be a good show. Stephen, thank you, man. Tell Chris or whoever you're working with these days, said hey, and I appreciate you, man. There are days I wake up and I'm just like, this feels like a Simcox day. And today I would like to see you, because you're very funny on Twitter. You're not tweeting very much, and that's a problem. So please try to commit to getting back in there a little more. I know you got a bunch of kids at the house, and you guys are very busy, but like I can tell you did this in the middle of a Cowboys preseason game the other night, and you said, let Camden Brown wear 88. That's good. That's funny. It's quick. It's nice. So try not to be a stranger. Don't get into the whole Instagram world. I fear you've kind of gone IG on me.
Yeah, Instagram's not great for little short takes like that. So I'll get more involved in Twitter as the football season commences.
All right. I know you like to sort of just to take orders from me like the old days. I'll come up with some other things I'd like to see you do. But all right. Well, give everybody a hug for me at the house, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Good to talk to you, man.
Stephen Simcox.